Beowulf's biggest secret. Was Grendel's slayer someone else? Beowulf Eos Sunday. Or Beowulf Sunday. Two different ways of pronouncing it, and I'm not really sure which one's correct, so still working on the whole pronunciation thing. Still learning. Forget everything you thought you knew about Beowulf, the legendary monster slayer. He might just be a literary smokescreen, obscuring the far older, darker truth etched into the very landscape of Anglo-Saxon England. We're about to dig into the primal, almost sacrilegious secret buried beneath the heroic veneer. Welcome back to the channel. We're going to be talking about a monster who, as it turns out, might have been fighting someone else before the main dude Beowulf even showed up. Get ready to have your Beowulf worldview adjusted. If you've ever read Beowulf, and yes, some translations are a bit of a slog, let's be real. William Morris. But if you've ever powered through these opening lines, you might have noticed something odd. We start with Scyld, a great king by all accounts. Then his son Beow. The text tells us that Beow's fame was renowned throughout the north. Okay, sounds like our man. But then, just as you're settling in for Beow's adventures, the poem suddenly pivots to his son, Halfdan. That is Hrothgar's old man. So, wait a minute. What happened to Beow? Where are his tales of monster slaying and fighting a dragon? That was my first reaction when I first read Beowulf. I had to actually double check to make sure I was reading the right fucking book. It's like building up a Marvel movie around a specific character and then killing off the character in the first 5 minutes. For centuries, scholars have scratched their heads at this. Early critics, like a guy named John Mitchell Kimball, it really looks like Grendel and the dragon stories, the ones we think of Beowulf's, were originally about this other guy, Beow. I mean, it's a thought, I guess. Why wouldn't you? The idea is that the legendary deeds of the earlier powerful figures were so ingrained in culture that they just got transferred, like a classic song getting covered by a new or old artist. You might be thinking, okay, that's a cool theory, but do we have proof? And here's where it gets spooky. The proof, if you can call it that, comes from old maps and land deeds. Yes, paperwork. There's always paperwork. You see, the Anglo-Saxons, the folks who settled England, loved naming places after their heroes. You've got Wade's Causeway, Wayland's Smithy, and frankly, they're still around today. In the Wiltshire Charter in 931, nearly 400 years after the Anglo-Saxons first arrived, there's a spot mentioned called, give me 1 second, Beowen Hamis Hedgen. This roughly translates to Beowulf's home or Beowulf's homestead. Sounds innocent enough, right? Except this Beowulf's home was located, and I quote, not far from Grendel's mire. Yes, a Grendel's mire. A lake named after Grendel. You have a place explicitly named after Beow right next to a place named after Grendel. Is this a coincidence? I mean, yes, probably. In 1967, when R.W. Chambers' book came out, most scholars absolutely didn't think so. This was seen as a smoking gun, suggesting a localized ancient tradition where Beow was Grendel's direct adversary. I mean, couldn't then the characters from the be named after this place? Why does it have to be the other way around? That implies Grendel wasn't just some random monster in Denmark, but perhaps a very real localized threat faced by a hero whose legend predates the famous Geatish warrior. If Beow was the original monster slayer, who was he? Well, he's not hanging around with Odin or Thor in Valhalla. Beow wasn't a direct figure in Norse mythology, but he pops up in Old English royal genealogies, basically ancient Anglo-Saxon family trees, often as the son of Scyld, the Dane we spoke about earlier, who's at the very beginning of Beowulf. He's a semi-divine ancestral figure. His name even sounds like the Old English word for barley or grain. Bear. Essentially, it's just bear. B-E-R-E. Imagine a hero who's also tied to agriculture, a bringer of prosperity, maybe even a deified ancestor, not quite god, but certainly revered. Think of him as a cultural hero, someone who shaped the very land and livelihoods of his people. This idea fits with Carl Mellenhoff's interpretation. He saw Beow as a divine helper of man, battling elemental forces. Bear with me. Pun very definitely intended. If it's true, Grendel and his mother suddenly become more than just slobbering beasts or kin of Cain. Grendel could symbolize the raging destructive tides of the North Sea in spring, flooding and destroying. His mother, the dark, terrifying depths of the ocean itself. Okay, and guess what? Beowulf and his people, the Geats, are sometimes referred to as the Weather Geats. Coincidence or a subtle nod to this older elemental struggle? I don't know. You tell me. Before we jump on the Beow is the original bandwagon, there's a wise old word from a voice of caution. R.W. Chambers himself, whose book from 1967 is the source of much of this discussion and, frankly, the progenitor of this video. And he put it brilliantly. We have in Beowulf a story of giant killing and dragon slaying. Why should we construct a legend of gods and nature myths to account for these tales? Why must Grendel and his mother represent the tempest or the malaria or the die-long winter nights? We know that these tales of giant killers and dragon slayers have been current among the peoples of Europe for thousands of years. Is it not far more easy to regard the story of the fight between Beowulf and Grendel merely as a fairy tale, glorified into an epic? Maybe. What you're saying is sometimes a monster is just a monster and a hero is just a hero. We don't always need to dig for deep hidden meanings. Maybe the Beowulf poet just heard an old story about Grendel, liked it, and just slapped his hero into it. But even with Chambers' pragmatism, that little whisper from the past, that Grendel's mire next to Beow's home, it just persists. It's a glimpse into the layers of belief and folklore that build the epic we know today. So, here's the question to you. Do you think Beowulf was the OG monster slayer, or did he inherit a legend from a forgotten hero named Beow? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And stay tuned for next week, because we'll be talking again about this, and something else, kind of related. Whether Beowulf truly inherited this legend or merely etched his name into an already ancient narrative, one thing remains terrifyingly clear. The monsters, it seems, have always been there. And sometimes the most compelling stories aren't the ones we write, but those that stubbornly refuse to be entirely forgotten. Anyway, the YouTube algorithm thinks you'll like this video. Happy Fridays. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not subscribed, like the video if you like the video, and I'll see you in the next one where we continue this discussion. I'm loving the new light, by the way. I have a new light. It's up here. Yeah,